What is going on, world, and welcome to week 5 of cutting fat the wrong way. It is just about noon on Monday, April 7th. If you guys have been following along the vlogs, essentially I started this fat loss cutting journey with you guys on March 10th. So we are officially 4 weeks into it now. We're starting week 5, and if you saw from the very first video, my top weight was 193.2 pounds. And this morning, I woke up and weighed myself and I was 187.4. So in the last 4 weeks, in the last 28 days, I have not been tracking my macros or calories. I have not been doing cardio. I've also been eating big, full, satiating meals, eating things like chocolate and popcorn, and I've still managed to cut 5.8 pounds in the last 28 days, which is about 0.2 of a pound every day, or if we're looking at the week in the grand scheme of things on that side, about 1.45 pounds per week. What I'm trying to show and take you guys through here is just by implementing things like being cognizant of my carbohydrates and trying to lower it down, and doing things like implementing a 40-hour fast, I'm able to get a great kickstart on my fat loss before even diving into things like, again, tracking my macros and calories or doing crazy cardio. I haven't really done anything different with my lifestyle besides implementing this 40-hour fast once a week and being cognizant of my carbs and just making sure I'm not eating a lot of carbohydrates. And ultimately right now, my goal is to get myself down to 175 pounds by June. So now it's time to take things a little bit more seriously. We got a great kickstart, but now we're gonna start actually adding some cardio in. We're gonna actually start tracking my macros and calories to see how much have I been actually putting in my system. I'm gonna try to eat the same foods and the same amount of foods and really not change too much. But now we're gonna track and see, was I in a caloric surplus some days? Was I in a caloric deficit? If you guys follow along the previous vlogs, for the most part, I was just guesstimating and eyeing out my food after, about 5-10 years ago was being very diligent with tracking my food. And now I'm just trying to guesstimate and see, but we're gonna dial things in. We have about 8 weeks to go before I wanna be at this 175 pound mark. So I have about 10 to 12 pounds to lose. Hopefully we're gonna make it there, but we gotta dial things up. We gotta change things. So come along the journey as we ramp up cutting fat the wrong way. So to catch you guys up a little bit here, because the last vlog was taking you through week 2. So essentially, I didn't track and document and record the last 2 weeks. So what have I been up to? The reason I haven't recorded is because those 2 weeks were almost exactly the same as the last 2 weeks, but last week was a little different. So if you guys aren't following along the journey, go check out those previous vlogs so you can see the foods I've been eating and how I've been utilizing intermittent fasting and lowering my carbohydrates in the 40-hour fast. But essentially week 4, so last week, I didn't do a 40-hour fast. I did one on week 3, and then I just went through the whole of week 4. But yesterday, I did a long fast. So right now, my body weight is a little bit lower this morning after weighing, and I was about 35 hours fasted when I weighed myself this morning. So maybe that's why my body weight is a little bit lighter and I'm having such great results. But again, this is part of it all. I believe you can be eating in a slight caloric surplus every day. Again, we're not really tracking my macros and calories yet, so it's hard to tell. But if you're implementing a thing like a 40-hour fast, where I believe you're getting great hormonal benefits from it, and you're also taking away a full day of eating, 2,500 to 3,000 calories is just wiped away from your week technically, well, then you don't need to be in a deficit every single day. Now, I think this has great benefits, as I mentioned, in regards to hormones, but also for muscle building. If you want to build muscle while also cutting fat, which a lot of these fitness influencers say is not possible, how do you do that? Well, they tend to say that if you're in a deficit, you're not going to put on as great muscle mass. But if I can be eating in a slight caloric surplus every day and then just have one day of fasting where my calories drop down, but in the grand scheme of the week for my total calories, I'm in a deficit, well, I can actually be putting on muscle while cutting fat. Interesting, eh? But anyways, I did not do a long fast last week, and I only implemented it yesterday. Yesterday, I was on a video shoot with one of my clients in Windsor, Ontario. We shot 17 videos together for his social media. So it was a very productive day. It's about a 2-hour drive there, 2-hour drive back. And I just fasted throughout the whole thing. Feeling great this morning. Finished up and wrapped up my morning meetings with my team. I'm just working on getting some of the content over to some of our editors here so they can start chewing away on this content. But I'm going to take you guys through the journey here of this week of how I'm implementing and changing things slightly. Again, nothing crazy. I think fat loss, you don't want to overdo it. In my opinion, there's no point in changing all these factors about your life because you're only going to cut so much fat. So why hop on drastically going in a deficit or drastically starting a whole bunch of cardio and changing so many factors of your life? So it's noon now, and I stopped eating on Saturday at around 8:30 p.m., maybe 9 p.m. We'll just say 9 p.m. So right now, about 39 hours fasted. I'm kind of getting hungry right now. Honestly, I could probably push it a whole other day, but I want to hit up the gym today, get a solid workout in. Today is chest and delt day. And yeah, I'm going to take you guys through the journey here, show you what I'm eating to break my fast, which if you see my previous vlogs, nothing special. We're eating the same stuff. But today we're actually going to weigh out and track all my food that I'm eating to see, was I in a surplus? Was I in a deficit over the last few weeks? And then we'll actually be able to see how much food I'm putting in my system. We're still going to keep up the 40-hour fast about once a week for the next few weeks, but over time, we're going to start to play with it and dial things down. This Friday is actually my birthday, but I'm not doing anything special for it. I have a video shoot with one of my clients on my birthday. And then Thursday, I actually have a video shoot, again, about 2 hours away in a different direction. We're going to Hamilton, Ontario. So it is a busy week of shooting content, editing content for my clients. And then next week is Easter weekend. And I'm actually going to be going up to Ottawa to visit my family. We're going to have Easter together as well as my birthday. So I'm kind of building up to that as where I'm going to have a bit of a cheat day. I'm going to be cognizant of my food on Easter weekend, but I'm going to enjoy myself. I'll probably have a bit of alcohol, and that's actually something I forgot to tell you guys as well too. The last 2 weeks that I haven't been recording here, on April 1st, I went to go shoot content with one of my clients in Toronto. He was doing a speaking gig. He was on a panel with a bunch of other experts, and after, we went out and got drinks together. I had 2 tall glasses of beer, and the week before that, I had a few drinks as well too, a few hard liquor shots. Alinka, the Hungarian plum brandy. If you guys have been following along my journey way back, this is something that I was sharing back in the day, but that's something I forgot to mention here to you guys as well too. I've had alcohol 2 times and still managing to cut fat. But anyways, Easter, we're going to enjoy ourselves. I'll probably show you guys the foods that I'm eating for that. And then after that, we only have about 6 weeks to hit this fat loss goal. So we have about an hour here before I hit the 40-hour fast mark. I'm going to get back to work on the computer for a little bit, send off these videos to get edited, and then we're going to break the 40-hour fast. Ooh, and also the rice bucket experiments have been going very well. I'm excited to take you guys through a little tape measure update because we are also about 1 month, we're 28 days into the rice bucket experiments. So gonna measure my forearms tonight and see where things are at. But man, I've really been enjoying these. So excited to give you guys a little bit of an update on that. So stay tuned. All right, almost 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and it is time to break my now 41-hour fast. This has been a staple of mine if you guys were following along the vlogs. It's either eggs sunny side up or eggs scrambled. We have 8 eggs scrambled here with some Boursin cheese on 2 rye bread. All the eggs didn't fit on the rye bread. We have some sauerkraut here, and we have some hot Hungarian sausage. I realized that I haven't used my food tracking scale since the Hormozy experiment, and it is out of batteries. So I wasn't able to properly weigh out the sauerkraut and the Hungarian sausage. I wanted to eat a whole bunch of the Hungarian sausage, but I kept it a little light because, again, I'm not 100% sure how much it is. But let's check out MyFitnessPal and see how much calories and macros are in this food. So as we see here, we have the 8 large eggs, 2 slices of the bread. We got the Borsan cheese there, Sikorsky Hungarian sausage, sauerkraut, and I also used about a tablespoon of butter to cook the eggs in. And when we check out the macros and calories here, so we're looking at 69 grams of carbs for this meal, 74 grams of fat, and about 84 grams of protein. In total, we are looking at, just for this meal alone, around 1,300 calories. Time to smash. But first, as always, we're gonna take 7,000 IUs of vitamin D3 and 2 heaping scoops of creatine. Oh yeah, the obliques are officially back in, baby. Yeah. Time for the gym. All right, back at home from the gym, and we got meal 2 of the day here. I wouldn't say this is like a go-to, but you guys definitely haven't seen this yet. I had this about 2 times last week. Basically, when I don't have ground beef ready to go, or I don't have steak, I've been doing this kind of tuna. So this is essentially 2 cans of tuna, a bunch of the Borsan cheese, we got a bit of Greek yogurt, and we got cucumbers and radishes cut up there. I do like to add red onions in there for flavor, but I realized I was all out of onions. Pretty easy meal. You just drain out the tuna, cut everything up, and throw it in there. Essentially, there's no cooking involved, so it's a pretty easy meal to make. And then I have a whole bunch of leftover like smoked meats that I had this weekend. I want to eat these up before they go bad here, but you're seeing right now I'm tracking everything on the scale. So one little quick tip if you're new to tracking your food and using a food scale and tracking with MyFitnessPal, if you're ever using something that's in a container and you're trying to figure out how to weigh it, check out what I'm doing with like the tuna and with the Greek yogurt. Essentially, I just put the whole container on it, zero it out, and then empty it out. And then I can just put the container back on, or with the Greek yogurt, I just leave the container on there, and whatever I scoop out of it is essentially what I need to track. So all in all, did my best to track here. We got MyFitnessPal pulled up, so let's check how things are going. One thing I am glad that I did grab a battery here for my food tracking scale is that the Hungarian sausage from this morning definitely wasn't 100 grams. That was probably more like 40 grams of Sikorsky, maybe even 30. So I did update it and changed this morning's meal slightly, but as you can see here, we got the 2 cans of tuna. We're looking at about 240 calories. We used a bunch of Borsan, usually a lot more than I put in the tuna, but I just wanted to finish up the pack there. We got the smoked pork shoulder, the Hungarian sausage, the Greek yogurt that's in the tuna. I think there's like 2 kinds of smoked pork sausage or pork shoulder here, so I did my best to track it. I don't think it's gonna be too far off, but we got some smoked Prager style ham there. We got 4 whole radishes, large cucumber, and some pickles. Let's check out the macros, see where I'm at here for the day so far. So we are now at 85 grams of carbs, 106 grams of fat, and 172 grams of protein for my second meal of the day. Now, one thing to consider is that with this smoked stuff, as well as the pickles, plus I put a bunch of pink salt in here, and I had pink salt on my eggs, that my sodium is quite high for today. So right now I'm about 5,538 milligrams of sodium.
What you're seeing on the right there, 2300, that's like the goal. I didn't set that as a goal. That's just, I think, what's ever kind of defaulted. As you can see here, I am about 3,228 milligrams over my sodium. And if we go back to the pickles aren't even being tracked here in regards to sodium. I'm not sure why. Essentially, with my Fitness Pal, there's like a barcode scanner. Usually when you scan the stuff, it's pretty good. But as you can see here, under sodium, 0 milligrams for these pickles. But when you look on the jar here, you see for half a pickle, you're looking at about 320 milligrams. So I'm eating 2 pickles here, which is about 1,200 milligrams of sodium that I'm on top of the 5,000.
Now, essentially for myself, I'm really not worried about my sodium intake. I think it's important to have sodium. We are electrical beings. Our sodium levels affect our electrolytes. Again, I'm not no scientist here. I'm just sharing things that I believe and from what I've seen online and stuff.
Food is what determines whether your muscles can contract, but electrolytes determine whether your muscles can contract at all. Remember, you are a bioelectrical being that runs on electricity first and food second. Just like your car, you can have a full tank of fuel. If the battery is dead, it's not going anywhere. It requires electricity. Your muscles are the same way, and they get their electricity from electrolytes. In Greek, electro means electricity, and light means to release. Electrolytes release energy into your muscle cell, charging it like a battery. Your main electrolytes being salt, calcium, potassium, magnesium. Salt and calcium work like your on switch. Potassium, magnesium work like your off switch.
What I implement for myself on a day-to-day basis, but I am not scared of salt, especially after coming off like a 41-hour long fast. During all that time, and if you saw my previous vlogs, I'll normally like take pink salt on when I'm on like over a 24-hour fast in the morning with water. Today I didn't because I knew I was gonna indulge a little bit here, have some pickles today, but I do see some coaches and influencers online saying if you're trying to cut fat, you should be reducing your sodium intake because it's going to help with your insulin sensitivity and all this kind of bull crap. And honestly, you can even just go ask ChatGPT. Like, sodium is very good for you, whether you're bulking or whether you're cutting. And I believe reducing your sodium intake is only going to lead to less water retention. So one thing I do need to consider is that tomorrow, if I'm heavier on the scale, even though my calories, I might be in a deficit or even just a slight surplus, which, you know, my body weight shouldn't change drastically. It most likely will be because I came off a long fast, my sodium levels dropped drastically, I've been drinking a lot of water over the last couple of days, plus black coffee, and now I have a day where I'm getting like 6,500 milligrams of sodium. So tonight and today, my body's just soaking up all this sodium back into itself. So tomorrow on the scale, if I am weighing a little bit more, it's probably just gonna be water retention more than anything. And then over the next few days, I'm gonna dial things down or just keep it neutral, and we're doing another 40-hour fast, and things are just gonna return back to normal. But that is one thing to consider. We'll keep in mind here, my sodium levels are pretty high today, and that might affect my weight on the scale, but not my fat loss. It's only going to lead to water retention. So excited to dive in here. We got a nice solid meal. We're tracking my food. It's great to see that for the most part I've been on point with things. We have one more meal to wrap up the day. Oh, and just to track it, it is 9:04 in the evening.
All right, we just finished up 20 minutes of rice bucket training. Feeling a little pumped in the forearms right now. I'm a little too lazy to dig out the good lighting here, so you're just gonna have to deal with some crappy lighting, but we are now 4 weeks into the rice bucket experiment. So I wanna do a quick little test here and just see where we're at so far. So if you guys recall, and you checked out the other vlog and the other video, when I was flexed, I was about 12.5 inches. And unflexed, I was about 11.75 inches. So here right now, we're gonna do another test and see where we're at after 4 weeks of the rice bucket training. So unflexed, my palm is open right now. We're looking at, this is as about taut as I can get, and we are at about 12 inches. So already unflexed, I've gained about, was that, half an inch? But now I'm flexing, and as you can see here, I'm not at a full inch there, but we are past the 3/4 mark. Now I am a bit pumped right now because I just finished the rice bucket training, but we are well past that 12.5 inch mark. So just in 4 weeks, already seeing a 1/4 of an inch gain in my forearms. As you can see, like, look at out here. Like, I've been seeing some crazy development here and out here as well too. So a 1/4 of an inch might not sound all that impressive for 4 weeks of doing this for 30 minutes a day, but you gotta think, this isn't like your biceps, this isn't like your quads or anything. This is your forearms, which is very hard to grow. So seeing a 1/4 of an inch growth in just 4 weeks in regards to my forearms, like, that is some crazy results. And look at it, man. And on top of this too, I've lost 6 pounds. I don't think your forearms carry that much fat, so losing 6 pounds probably wouldn't see too much in regards to like my forearms. But man, seeing a 1/4 of an inch of growth in just 4 weeks, that is absolutely crazy. We still have another 2 months of doing this. I'm only 28 days in. We're doing this for at least 90 days. So I think this rice bucket stuff is legit. Heavily recommend. I'm feeling so great in regards to my wrists. I am noticing at the gym, like, I feel a little weaker in my wrists, but it's because I'm training it every single day. So if you saw in my little workout video from today where I'm doing the overhead press, I am wearing like cuffs around my wrists to help with stability so I can lift heavier and keep things nice and stable, because I am noticing that, like, when I'm doing heavier stuff, I feel like my wrists are giving out a little bit, but I do think I'm gaining strength over this time. So I'm going to keep you guys updated as I continue these experiments, but a 1/4 of an inch in 4 weeks, guys. This is legit. Almost about midnight there, and we have our last meal of the day. Our typical yogurt parfait. Got a whole bunch of non-fat Greek yogurt in there. We have a bit of granola, some raspberries, strawberries, a little bit of honey, and 2 pieces of 90% dark chocolate. Got this all tracked up on MyFitnessPal, weighed everything out. So let's take a look at this meal and we'll check out our ending macros and calories for the day. So as we can see here, we got the honey, granola, all the yogurt, strawberries, raspberries, and the 90% chocolate. And to end the day, we're around 2,835 calories. And again, that's not being perfect with this, of course. I am tracking the best I can, but you can only take these apps and the calories on the apps, as well as what the food is being labeled as within these apps, and you can't always even trust what's on the back of packaging. If you actually break down the macros and try to calculate the amount of calories, usually the macros, when you multiply them out by how many calories are in 1 gram of carbs and 1 gram of protein, 1 gram of fat, are typically undershooting the calories. So this is only a basis to go off of. This is why for the first 4 weeks, I didn't even really track my food, because I've been doing this for probably about 10 years now, where I've tracked my food diligently, and now I've just been doing more or less intuitive eating. But as we can see here, to wrap up the day, we're at 152 grams of carbs, 121 grams of fat, and about 188 grams of protein. So that's it for day 1 of week 5 of cutting fat the wrong way. No cardio, nothing extra special today, coming off a long fast, and around 2,800 calories. Is that my maintenance? Again, it's a little hard to know because of the way I do things. I'm not consistent day to day to day. Today was a bit more open of an eating window. If you saw in my last vlog, there was one day where I had like a 2.5 to 3 hour eating window, and the day after that, I had like an 8-hour eating window. So as I kind of already discussed earlier on in this vlog, for me, the way I look at calories is in through a 5 or 7 day block. I'm really not too concerned of how I'm doing calories day by day. It's more about in the whole week. If in a whole week I'm in a caloric deficit, then I'm most likely going to be losing fat. If in a whole week or in a 5 day block, if that's how I'm running it,
and I'm in a surplus, I'm probably going to be slowly gaining weight over time. Saw a very interesting video recently where someone said, if you were eating over 100 calories a day for 3 years, you would gain about 30 pounds. There's this one kind of theory is that, 1 pound of fat is around 3,600 calories. So in order for you to gain 1 pound of fat, straight fat, no water retention, nothing like that, just actual fat, if you eat in 100 caloric surplus, only 100 extra calories a day in 1 month, that's about 3,000 calories. Now, if you reverse that, if you want to cut a pound of fat, you would have to be in a 100 calorie deficit every single day for at least 30 days in order to cut that pound of fat. What I'm trying to do here, and as I'm showing with you guys, is caloric manipulation. I'm playing with my calories. I might be in a surplus today if I'm around 2,800 calories, but because I'm skipping out on a whole day of food, I'm technically skipping around 2,500 to 3,000 calories in one day. I can afford to have slightly higher calories day to day when I'm not doing that fasting. So I don't want to sound like a broken record here for you guys, but as you've been seeing, I've almost cut about 6 pounds in the last 4 weeks only by implementing fasting and being cognizant of my carbs. No cardio, no tracking my food until today. But that's it for me tonight, world. It is past midnight. I'm probably going to finish this by about 12:30. It's a late night of eating. Netflix just dropped the Kill Tony live episode. So I didn't manage to watch that live, but I got to check this out. It's probably going to be hilarious. Let me know if you guys check that out and watch it. But I will catch up with you guys tomorrow and take you through another day of week 5 of cutting fat the wrong way.